Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 489. This is 489 already. Wow. This is the first 2-0 Detroit Lions team since 2011? Question mark? This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, Jeff, the Riz Risden. How are you doing, my man?
It's good to be back live with you, Chris. It's a football Wednesday. We got a 1-0 football team. Got a chance to be 2-0 for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. It makes me very happy because I did not expect them to win the first game, and I also didn't expect them to win the second game. But things have a funny way of changing, and you've got to change with them and adapt. And I'm having fun adapting to the Lions being 1-0 and beating the Chiefs and hosting a dilapidated Seahawks team.
This is the adaptation I was built for. This is the evolution I've been waiting for. God, thank you. Finally, Darwin to be on our side. We got a lot to talk about today. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to do our warm-ups like we usually do. A couple things. We're going to do the KCC BTFO. Got to cover that. Jahmyr Gibbs usage is going to be a really fun little piece. We're going to go around the NFL. Week 1, we're going to talk about what's going on in the games, what we saw, give you a little bit of overview there. We're going to talk about the officiating this week, who we got, what to think, what the heck is going on around there. We're also going to talk about the importance of the Seattle game, give you a little preview of the game, the matchup, and a whole lot more. We've got a great show lined up. Riz, are you ready to go, my man?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Oh, thank you very, very much for Brown8SM for your subscription. I appreciate that. Subscribe, like, do all those things, hit the bell, all those fun, joyous things. We appreciate you when you do that. David Woodkirk, Chris and Riz, the most interesting guys in Lions media. Thank you, David. Also, post-game show this week, first one of the season. It is time. It'll be Chris and Michael Gray, also known as Gray. We will be doing the post-game show this week. Ash is going to be busy on his daily DLP. He'll be back. Don't worry. Michael is filling in to kick things off. It'll be fun to have the long-locked wonder join us for all the fun. Also, don't forget we're changing the logo on the podcast. We will have that coming up in the next week or so. It's for the audio-only people. Don't be afraid. Don't get lost. It'll still be there. And last but not least, this is the Detroit Lions podcast season for St. Jude. I want to thank everyone for all the well wishes. Last week, I mentioned my mom had been diagnosed with cancer. I broke a little bit. I apologize. It was only hours old, the news. And so we'll get through it. We will, because that's what we do. So stjude.org/DLP. Get in there. Let's help those sick kids, those families get their juice on, get some help, and get through what is the toughest battle of their lives. All right. It is. We got through all the stuff. Let's get right into the show. We got warm-ups. Warm-ups are here. The first one we want to talk about this may warm some people up more than others. Amani Arawariye, we got some distressing news today about him. Wouldn't talk about him. He's friends with a lot of the guys on the team. Jerry and he are close. And Amani was pulled out of Giants practice on a backboard, special teams drills today. There's an ambulance. I haven't seen any update on his situation, but Amani, man, hopes, prayers, thoughts with you. Don't want that to happen to anybody, really.
No, it's terrible. And it sounds like he did actually move his extremities before he left, but it's just, you never want to see that. And I know he's not with the Lions anymore, but he did nothing but try his best here, and you gotta give it up to him. Hopefully he pulls through just fine.
Yes,
get back out there on the field for the Giants because they need everything that they can get. They got whopped.
We will talk about that. When we go
yeah,
around
we
the
will.
NFL. Wow, that was unexpected. Wow. I'll just say the short of that is I was really worried because the Lions did so well against them. I was like, oh. It might not mean a whole lot. And I felt sad. My friend's a really big Giants fan. So, Matthew Grisak. Oh my God. First time I did one of these live instead of recorded. I am weirdly excited. You know what? I'm weirdly excited that you're here. Ooh. What also talk about CJGJ, ski mask fun. Amazon sold out for a while. The blue ski masks. Everyone wear your ski mask to Ford Field. It sounds like, I love it. It sounds fun, right? It sounds like a good time. It's a pretty funny, unique kind of thing, huh?
I have a fun little sidebar off of that. So there were a couple of photos in the AP database, or not AP, Getty, this one.
Yep.
And it was him in the ski mask, balaclava, whatever you want to call it. And I put one as a title picture for a Lions Wire column, and the editorial staff made me yank it. I got called from like way above, like, you can't put that on there. We can't run that as a feature photo. I'm like, really? So it'll be interesting if there's a lot of those and a lot of people in those this weekend. If my higher ups have to adapt. We're talking about adapting. They would have to adapt to that too.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see it personally. I think it's sweet. I think it's something that we haven't really seen in the NFL, and if we can make that our own, I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fun. The one thing, please fans, please idiots, don't wreck this, because the one thing that could happen is the dumb could come out. And we don't want that. It's too early. It's too fun. It's too good of a point in the season to bring out the dumb.
Take it off when you go into the restaurant or the gas station. Probably a good idea to just like only put it on when you're at Ford Field, or if it's exceptionally cold out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to wear it like to the rooftop bar and grill that's like right down the street across from Comerica. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Be smart about it. Don't put yourself at any risk of any untoward activity that you wouldn't want to be involved in, and that would invite it if you do think,
and
don't go into Subway and order your foot long in wearing your blue thing, like, because they're gonna think you're robbing them.
If you see somebody doing stupid, stop it. Get some friends, just stop it. Please don't let other people wreck the fun. Please.
Yes.
Don't get that rap. This is fun. This is a lot of fun, and we're in a position where we can have a lot of great fun. So please enjoy that. Do it. Enjoy it, embrace it, but have fun with it. Don't be stupid. Don't wreck it. Don't wreck it. All right, let's warm-ups are over. I'm warm. I got my pull-up off. My pants are down. We had a great week. The Detroit Lions, BTFO. The Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care if it was 1 point. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Those motherfuckers were Super Bowl champions, and they were putting the banner up, and we took them out. We won. And I was sitting in a hotel in New York alone, right? Because I couldn't watch it with anybody. I woke up, I swear to God, the entire floor and maybe the one above and below, I was off the hook excited. That was such a fun game. All the shenanigans. And this is something we'll talk about a couple times, but we mentioned it last week. No, it was after the last preseason game, asking people, did you feel the shift in the timeline? Where that play against Carolina, the call went against them for fumbling it out of bounds. We got the ball back. We won the game. All that. All the shenanigans with the guy lining up as a halfback, the right tackle lining up as a halfback. All of that going on. And I just never felt that existential fear that I've had so many years prior as a Lions fan. It was a completely different sense watching this game. It was celebratory. It was a sense of confidence, and maybe it's undeserved, but I absolutely enjoyed the shit out of this game, and I didn't have that, like I said, the existential sense of dread never popped its head.
I'm kind of with you on that, and I talked about it in the little post game video that I shot outside at midnight because I was pretty darn excited. So it's funny. After I recorded that, my neighbor, actually, who I was trying not to wake up, actually came over. He was sitting out in his garage firing one up, and he wanted to talk a little bit of Lions, so that was fun too.
Firing one what?
Marijuana, because that's legal in Michigan these days.
Look at that.
Not my thing, but to each their own. He's a good dude. So I was like I said, I kind of hinted at it at the video, but I never really felt like it was out of control or like, how are we going to lose this? It was more about like, how are we going to win this game? Because I didn't know how we were going to win.
Right.
But I felt like we had football karma on our side for all the crap that they let Jawan Taylor get away with. And just doing things, the right things. If you go for that fake punt, going for it that early, like that throws it down, that you're there to win. You're not you're not playing to not lose. You're playing to win. And that's something that Aaron Glenn specifically has talked about both on and off the record. It's like, I'm not here to just not lose. I'm here to win. And that is a different mindset. It's a different mentality. It's something that the late great Kobe Bryant used to talk about. Like, I'm not worried about losing. I'm just worried about winning. And
I want to go
like
back.
that. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to go back to Hard Knocks and Aaron Glenn. It came up in the Slack. Fab brought it up, I believe. Aaron Glenn talked about players that had come in, and they were used to winning, and they knew what winning felt like, and they expected to win. That was what I just want to say that mentality, and it's Fab said it, and it's right. We talked about it, like I said, in the Slack. It feels like that mentality has just been injected into the veins of this coaching staff, these players from top to bottom. They were not afraid of those lights. They did not wilt at all. Toe to toe with the Super Bowl champions when they hung the banner, and they expected to win. This is a different look. This team ends the season in the playoffs. They lose the first playoff game, whatever. I want them to win it, whatever. There's an absolute change in Detroit. I don't care who you are or what you think of the team or how much of a turd biscuit you want to be and a troll of other people. This is 100% a different Detroit Lions team than we have ever seen. This attitude. Last piece. We went back. Jared Goff talked about the gut punches will stop. And you remember Torrey laughing at him? Did you remember all the people? Oh, you just not been a Lion long enough. You don't know. The gut punches, I think, might have stopped. Jared Goff was right, and he deserves his flowers on that one. He was confident, and he said it, and he's making it happen, baby. This is a different team. It's a different team.
Yeah, and you got to give Goff a little bit because he's a guy. He went to a program at Cal. We'll do this quickly. That wasn't known for football, wasn't known for winning. And he didn't win a lot, but he won more than anybody had there in a while since some guy who's now got a bad Achilles and lived up to that pressure very well of elevating that program for a little bit. And he went to the Rams, and his rookie season, he went 0-7, and the team was terrible. Jeff Fisher was their coach. I mean, you couldn't even get to the 7-9 BS, but he's got the experience and the understanding of how to rise up, how to go to a team, because he's done that. And like, not a lot of guys have had that experience. And that's one of the reasons why actually I think Anthony Richardson had a nice debut for the Colts this past weekend, because he understood. He went to a program. I know UF typically wins, but he wasn't used to winning in college. He was used to having to work to create the winner. Yep. And I think that mentality worked him very well. But now, Chris, to your point and what we talked about in the Slack today, all the guys who come from big winning programs and are expecting the great things. And it also comes from guys like CJ GJ, who came from an Eagles team that was in the Super Bowl, has had a lot of success. And you saw, Cam Sutton coming from the Steelers, a team they don't have losing seasons. They just don't. Like, that is also there. And that's a very real thing. And I think that we kind of got a feel for that a little bit in training camp and the preseason and talking to those guys and watching them interact with their peers. Like, don't just say you're good, like, expect it. And you see that. You saw that in Kansas City. They were not in awe. They were not watching that banner go up or whatever, unfurl, and they unleashed the thing. And they weren't like, oh man, that's really cool. Like, yeah, we're next. And you could feel that I watched it on TV like y'all did. Like, I felt that. And you felt it in the comments after the game. And that's one of the reasons why I love CJ GJ so much with the whole, ski mask and everything. Like,
he did something else too. Besides the ski mask, he brought up, he said he had a quote talking about how ruthless Lions fans were, the most ruthless in the sport. This is a guy, look, he's on the field, he's talking shit. We saw him talking to Amani. We saw him talking to a couple players on the Jags in the joint practices, and it was fun, and it was all that stuff. He knows how to get people going, whether they're fans,
yes,
whether they're teammates, whether they're opposition teams. He knows how to get people amped. And I am all about, look, again, ruthless and ski masks. Some people can take that in a really, really dumb way. Please don't do that. Please don't wreck this. Please don't wreck this. Let people enjoy it. Have fun with it. Let us have fun and enjoy. But he knows what's up, man. When he talks about ruthless fans, he is absolutely right. And we've talked about it. When the Lions do win it all, and we'll start with winning the division. When the Lions win the division, be ruthless. Rub their face in it. Grind their soul to the ground or to the boot of the lion, the paw of the lion, whatever. When they win the NFC, don't be kind. Grind their face in it. Grind it in them. And when they take the Super Bowl, you be the most egregious a-hole winner fan there ever was. You get your year. You all get a year. Take advantage of it and enjoy it because you earned it and you deserve it. And CJGJ embodies that attitude, and I freaking love it. I freaking love it.
He absolutely does. I'll just share this. I spent the last few days in the presence of Packers fans, quite a bit of Packers fans, more than Lions fans, although there were a lot of Lions fans where I was at too. And I said at dinner on Monday night, I said, you know what? I apologize for Lions. We're going to be obnoxious. We're going to celebrate this. And both the guys that I was sitting with, they're like, yeah, you should. Like, you've earned this, man. So I even think that they get it.
Yeah.
So, and, I tend to only be obnoxious, I pick and choose my spots. And I'm going to choose more of those when the Lions taste that success. I will, go back to the Texans and the Browns when I covered them, when they had some success. Like, their fans got chesty and they got loud and obnoxious, and I appreciated that. And for the team that I'm passionate about, when that happens, you better believe I'm going to do it too.
Yeah,
I'll be somewhat gracious. Just that's just how I approach things in competition. You be a good winner, act like you've won before, and act like you've lost before. But I haven't won before, Chris. I want to celebrate that a little bit, and I want people to understand how important it is that this team is doing what they're doing, and they're destined for very good things this year. Knock on wood. But, this is a good football team.
I think about
very good football team.
The post-game shows we've had to do over the years, and I was counting the win-loss record, man. You don't know how hard it is on the second week of December, a week after doing the 24-hour show, showing up on a Sunday after another Matt Patricia blowout to try to do the therapy session. You know how bad I needed therapy, you guys, guys and gals? Do you know how bad I needed? And we had to come in. It was hard. There was times, man, when it was tough, man. But it's like now it's all worth it, bro. It all feels so good. And I just don't want it to end. I don't want it to end.
You bring that up, and it reminds me of doing the Sunday morning show that Jim Costa, who's now at 97.1 in Detroit, and I used to do in Grand Rapids. And when you're 3-10, there's only so much you can do to hype it up. And we had to do 2 hours live radio. Oh man, it was hard. I can't wait to be a little chesty around other NFL fans, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and we've earned it. We have earned it. We got
combat sack. It's week 1, boys. Calm the farm. No. This is the time to celebrate. This is the time. All our hopes and dreams of the preseason, all the hopes and the dreams of the preseason, and we got something to believe in after beating the Super Bowl chance. Look, if we come crashing down, I'm not sure we will, but if we come crashing down after the week 2 game, that's okay. I don't care. This right now, we beat the Super Bowl champs in their house on banner raising night. F it. Enjoy it. You deserve it. You deserve it.
We did it with defense, and we did it with a rookie making a big play.
Yeah,
that's how infrequent is that? And to me, the big thing is that how you ended last season, beating the Packers in Green Bay, ruining Aaron Rodgers' departure. What unfortunately might be the last full game that he ever plays.
The last pass caught in a game by Kirby Joseph that Aaron Rodgers has had,
That's
caught.
right. And it could very well wind up being that way in perpetuity. And then you go in, and people were pretty excited about that. Like, okay, that's a great way for the Lions to end. Let's see what they can do off of it. What did they do off of it? They went into Kansas City, and they beat Patrick Mahomes with a rookie making a pick six that decides the game. They do a fake punt from their own 17 early in the game. If that doesn't show that this is a new Detroit Lions team, I don't know what to tell you.
that Brian Branch, that was the one spot where I was like, oh God, when they got the second score at the end of the second or the first half, knowing they're getting the ball back in the second half, I'm like, just hold them to 3. Just hold them to 3. We can do this. And Branch comes up huge. It was like, that was the moment in my head where I was like, we're going to win this game. We're going to win this MFing game. I just knew it at that point and rode the fun. The rest of it was so weird. Can you imagine being a Patriots fan all those years and just sitting back and saying, oh, we're going to win this. I know. I mean, no biggie. Oh, who cares? We came back from, 28-3 against the Falcons for the Super Bowl. We're going to win. Who cares? Like, to be able to be that comfortable no matter what point in the game, we've never, ever had that. Oh, it was fun. It was fun. All right. Let's do a little talk about the officiating in the game, because that was a big point of is a big point of pride for the NFL this week. My oh my oh my. This I'm going to talk about it when we go around the NFL, because there was something I saw that was huge, but the offensive lineman lining up as a fullback he's now moved back even further in the formation, was insane to me, was absolutely nuts. And we saw it and saw it and saw it. One of the things I wonder is, because we saw them, they showed it in the replay, was he would come up in the line in a run play and he would line up in the backfield on a pass play. And I was wondering if the Lions were like, you know what, we're just going to be okay with that until it really starts causing problems. If things get out of hand, then we're going to start talking to the refs. And they waited until the end, and they just scrambled the Chiefs' eggs at the right time that just took them off their game. Again, when those things happen to the Lions, those kinds of calls, the Lions would fold in the old days. They would just fold, right? Is this something, did they leverage something like that to like I said, scramble the eggs of the Chiefs at the wrong moment and cause them to trip when they needed to run? I don't know. I don't want to put, like, I know Campbell's a smart guy and I know he's a gamer. I'll believe that. I'll just take that to my, make me feel good. But that was allowing that and not making that a point of emphasis. The Lions had to know it. Someone on that team, on that sideline, noticed that, and they didn't make it a point of emphasis for the refs. There has to be a reason.
And I think they understood that being tipped off to whether the play was going to be a run or a pass was important. And I actually looked this up. I actually just looked this up because I wanted to make sure that I got the number right. So 1st and 10, the Chiefs' first carry on 1st and 10 of the night, they got 6 yards. After that, they had 6 more carries on 1st down. They gained 11 yards on those 6 carries. You have to think that being tipped off by Jawan Taylor lining up as a slot receiver, as Chris Collinsworth called him on the broadcast, like he was clearly fed up. Who's the guy in the booth? Their official guy, and I can't think of his name. Was like apoplectic.
Terry McCauley.
Yeah, Terry McCall. Yeah, he was just like, I don't know how they're getting away with this. I don't know why. This is a gross injustice to the Detroit Lions, but they made it work for them. That's very different. That's taking what could be a disadvantage and turning it into a competitive advantage. Oh, he's lined up back there. Guess what? They're going to pass. Maybe we can do some things a little bit different here. You can see the signaling from the Lions, like Hutch and Pascal and those guys, like signaling one another, like, yep, we got, okay. No, you know what to do. Like that's the sign of a disciplined team. And I think that they did use it to their advantage, because you're putting Patrick Mahomes at 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10 all the time when they're used to being in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5.
Yep.
That's a massive advantage for your team. And the Lions did that very well. And I wonder, so now Kansas City goes into Jacksonville this week. Jacksonville can also bring the heat. We know that. That's a very good football team down there. Yes, I wonder if they're going to be upset that the Lions pointed it out. Because I think one of the things that's going to happen, I'm going to trust that Andy Reid is a good enough coach to point out to Jahmyr Taylor, like, dude, you've got to at least start in the same spot on every play. You can't be doing this BS where you're lined up in line and tight when we're running, and then you drop back as a slot receiver when we're passing. Like, No more of that. Or try to use it to his advantage and do some chicanery out of it. Like they could very well do that. But
it's a shift in the
props to the
timeline.
Lions for doing how they did it, because it helped their defense by the Kansas City offense getting away with cheating effectively.
Yeah.
They didn't let him get away with it. And that to me, that's another signification that this Lions unit is different. There's something different about this team. And I mean that in a very good way.
It's a shift in the timeline. We would have folded with that kind of cheating going on. We would have melted down as a team, and they didn't. They used it to their advantage. They found a way to turn it into a way to win, or even a reason to win, right? Hutch was working all game. His job was always, I mean, it's hard to be a defensive end. Let's be honest. No position's easy in the NFL. It's hard though, because you are running, you're a big boy, and your swim, your spin, you have all your bull rushing. You are pulling everything you've got to get around these guys. You're doing the work. I'm not saying they're not working, but it's a lot harder to get around one of those guys than it is to try to stop somebody from moving, just from an effort perspective. And then you give a guy like an advantage. Now it feels like, as a defensive end, you're trying to get uphill to get to that guy, right? It's even harder. Yeah. And Hutch never got angry, never let on, just grinded. And he was right there so many times. Brother, I saw it. Someone said he would have had 3 sacks in that game. And I agree, but it's almost better that he didn't get those numbers. It's almost better because we still wreaked havoc in the backfield. It was a different kind of practice for him. It was a harder kind of practice at the pro level for Hutch. He's going to be better for it as a player. For when guys do beat him, when they're playing right, he's going to be better to recover and get around them. And it became a thing where they could all mature and overcome and beat it anyway. I think that's really, really important for this team.
I love the fact that they didn't whine to the refs. We all did.
Yep.
And deservedly so. And for the people who were trying to defend Juwan Taylor, but he's allowed to time the snap, and he does. I will give him credit. He times it very well. But you can't bounce your front foot. You can't dip your shoulder before the snap. That's illegal procedure. He did that almost, I won't say every time, but almost every time. He was guilty of that. You're allowed to adjust that back foot, and you can time that get off, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
But he got away with some illegal procedures or illegal shifts, or the one that I always harp on, and if you read my stuff at Real GM, you'll know that this really bothers me. He never gets set.
Mm-hmm,
and I hate that they never call that. I hate that that's not called more. That's actually something that Taylor Decker used to do when he was young, and it used to bother me. He grew out of it, thankfully, and we'll talk more about Decker in a minute. But I will say, I think that the officiating crew that gets Detroit now is also going to be looking like, okay, like we've been made aware. And Dan very artfully after the game said, I'm not talking about it. And that's good, but you can bet that he's talked about it because they do meet the officials beforehand. Like they have their little pregame thing and points of emphasis. And you better believe that came up. They'll be looking for it.
Well, we'll get into the officiating when we do the preview, but I think that's a good point. We'll get into that. I want to go back to what Combat Sack said about this being the first game of the season. Let's not get off the rocker. Look, I've said this a million times. Week 1 is fool's gold. You don't know what you really have. Yes. You're coming out of a preseason. How many snaps did Mahomes take in the preseason, right? I don't know. The offense never really, on Detroit, never got a chance to sink in the preseason, was playing against the Patriots defense. Yeah, Chris Jones wasn't there. Yeah, it doesn't mean their defense stinks. It doesn't mean anything of the sort. They have a great defense, and we played against it, and they're a tough defense.
Yes, they do.
and that's that. We have a great offensive line. Hey, could they have had more pressure? Maybe, but it was the fool's gold kind of offense. I ain't crapping on any parades though. I don't care about week 1, fool's gold, anything, because we came out and played a very, very comprehensive game. Both sides of the ball, special teams, the fake punt. The team didn't just luck into anything. The team earned it, and they played it. They were unflappable. They played very mature, way more mature than the youth of this team and the age of this team. The team came out and did really, really great things. That's not fool's gold. That's not lucking into some goofy call and ball bounces and, whatever. We played a competent game against a competent team who happen to be missing a couple guys, but I don't care. Good work on the Detroit Lions this week. Very, very good work. All right.
Want to know? No asterisk.
No. Offense and defense. It's interesting where things ended up. We did play the team that raised the Super Bowl banner. We talked about this ahead of the season, Riz, and we talked about our rankings in offense and defense. I think it was even last week, where you were higher on the defense than you were on the offense. I was a little higher on the offense than I was on the defense. And I feel like they both played kind of right in between where we tagged them. That defense was significantly improved, as we both thought it would be. Closer to what you thought it would be. The offense.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ken F., for your donation to the St. Jude. Appreciate you. stjude.org/DLP. $50 there. The offense, the defense, they played close to where we thought they would. Offense probably wasn't as good as we expected. You had thought about a fall off. I still think it's week one. I don't think that they've really had a chance to gel yet. We'll see more. This week will be a better tale, I think, on the offense, but they were absolutely competent, and they played against a very, very good team in a very competent way. I'm despite the win, right? If it had been a 1 point difference the other way and we'd have lost the game, I would have been happy with how our offense and defense played against the team that they were facing against week one on the road. I think that this bodes very well for this team.
And think about one of the narratives going into the game was that Dan Campbell can't get his team ready to play early. They've had the wretched starts both seasons.
Yep.
Kind of buried that narrative, didn't he?
It did. It absolutely did. It crushed it.
All the people that were complaining about how they didn't play in the preseason starters, never saw the field, worked out okay. I'm going to say that that's probably more correlational than causational, but there's the chicken or the egg argument. Either way, somebody's got to shell.
Yeah. This is a good one, Hodges. Somebody mentioned that in the past it would have taken a perfect game to beat an opponent like the Chiefs. This team ground out a win while playing a B- game on offense, and I think that's absolutely true. Yeah, it's a great point.
I said it after the game. I thought Ben Johnson was probably the worst Lion, in part because he was leaning so heavily on Marvin Jones, who was the worst Lions player in the game.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson did not have a great game. He redeemed himself very nicely late, that last drive where he's like, you know what, we're just going to ram it down their throats. And they did it. And David Montgomery was very great in that. Like, it's like he realized, okay, I don't need to do all this window dressing crap. You block who's in front of you. You block who's in front of you. You block who's in front of you. Push them backwards. David, go. Game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Ash had a
I loved it.
One of his daily DLPs this week. And Ash has really upped his game this week. I love it because he's a continuous improvement guy. He's done a State of the Union refresh, and he started again this week. I love what he's doing with this. He had a really great analysis on the yards, kind of adjusted, just instead of looking at blank stats or straight stats, adjusted yards, and how good David Montgomery actually was this game. 3.5 yards a carry. Yep. First down every 3 carries, right? That's that. David Montgomery is everything we expected him to be. I'll say David Montgomery, as a matter of fact, was the same run that Jamal would have. Montgomery got 2 to 3 yards more every single time. When we talked about it, when we picked him up and we're looking at the highlight reels and what the Lions were saying about having played him the year before, that he's so hard to bring down, you get your hand and you can't quite take him down. I saw that over and over and over against the Chiefs. Just such a great runner. Love Jamal. But Montgomery,
yes, absolutely.
He is him, dude. He is him. He is different. Exactly that kind of running back that a Dan Campbell wants and a Ben Johnson wants to anchor that running game. Beautiful job from Monty out there. Absolutely fantastic.
He was so good down the stretch, and you could feel there was a lot of consternation about Jahmyr Gibbs, and we'll probably talk about that too. But the usage for this game, I think, called for more of what David Montgomery provided. They're missing their top interior run stuffer.
Yep.
They have good linebackers. Like I think we all in Lions land will agree their linebackers are pretty good, even though if you might not necessarily know who their name was. And their defensive backs, they're smart. One of the things that I like to shift a little bit here, the Lions always talk about having smart, intelligent football players.
Yeah.
You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I know Justin Reed. I've talked to Justin Reed. I actually transcribed his combine interview back in the day. That dude's freaking brilliant. Like, he is very, very smart off the field. And I know a couple of the other guys on that team. They're really smart guys off the field, and it shows in the way that they play. And the Lions are emulating that, but also carving their own path with it. And I think that's a side thing that I took away from it was that's still a good Chiefs football team. That's still a team that's going to win a lot. And now that Chris Jones is back, probably going to win a lot soon. Yeah. And I'm glad that we got them when we did, but I'm not going to apologize for taking on. There ain't no asterisk there. That's a 1-0, baby.
Yep.
I'm all about that. And the fact that they did it in a way where it didn't feel flukish. It didn't feel weird. Like, this was a game that a lot of people expected was going to be close, and a lot of people thought that the Chiefs would pull out because they have the experience. They have Patrick Mahomes, the MVP, arguably the greatest player of this generation. They have talent aside from Kelsey and Jones, who weren't playing. Like, yep. They still have a very good football team. That's a playoff team even without those guys. And the Lions went in and got it done on the road early in the season, where they've not had success in a very long time. I think 2017 was the last time that they were anywhere close to this, and that's destroying narratives, baby. Let's just keep knocking them off. Every negative narrative that you got about the Lions, let's keep dumping them.
So
let's go
on the asterisk thing. I'll just tell you, this team is 1-0 with an asterisk, but that asterisk is my asshole, and they can kiss it. If you want to use your text symbol. All right, there you go. I want to talk about the defense. Again, Brian Branch. Oh, my goodness. He is him as well. Brian Branch. We talked about him very early in camp, that he was living up to the why the F did people not pick him up? And then the last chance, big mistake, Green Bay Packers, FTP to the chat. Absolutely fantastic, just swinging a whiff on that trade. He's proved it. He is absolutely fantastic. What a great player. He played very, very well out there. A rookie at that position doing so well is almost unheard of. It's just almost unheard of. And he looks like a third-year player, starter on any NFL team, easy out there playing just class. I love me some Brian Branch, and I gotta say, he was, when my son was doing autographs after the practices in training camp, he was absolutely that fantastic dude when he was signing balls and doing the whole thing. Great guy. I wish him the very, very, very best. I am so excited that we've got him. That's a jersey that I would pick up. That's a jersey.
I was just going to say, you're going to start seeing a lot of number 32 Brian Branch jerseys around Detroit. Because aside from the fact that he's a good player, he's a genuinely good. If you watched his press conference, like, he's humble, he was excitable, like, he was like, I just got pick six off of Holmes, man. like you can feel the sort of the wild-eyed rookie, but also then the savvy to back it up. And like, I don't mean anything if I can't do it again. And I'll go back to a time in camp this summer when he and Will Harris was also involved in it, so I got to give Will some credit too. But Starling Thomas who's now with the Cardinals, had a very real holding problem. And it was pointed out to Starling a lot by the receivers of the Lions and the Giants and the Jaguars. And I saw Brian Branch, like, teaching him technique. This is a rookie teaching a fellow rookie technique and teaching him tricks of the trade on how to avoid getting penalized. Like, that's not something you see a lot. That's the kind of dude that Brian Branch is. And just to go into the Slack talking about dude speak, we got a dude there. We actually have two of them because he and C.J. Carter-Johnson, they play the same position, but they're both dudes enough that they can play together. They can figure it out. They can play next to each other. They can rotate. God, secondary's fun, man.
The Ronin 99 in the chat says we have a lot of hymns, and I think, don't they do boner pills? I think I found there's our nickname in there somewhere. We got the hymns. You know what? We've got a new sponsor. I got to work on them. You guys call them. Tell them they need a sponsor. We got to get hymns in here. Because that whole defense is hymns.
2 middle-aged hosts. We can work with that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Love it. Offense, surprise bit, like we talked about, not as big off as we thought they would. I'm not concerned, but I definitely want to see more out of them this week. Week 1, fine. Week 2, week 3, I'm going to start hovering over that red button for panic on where's those points, what's going on. I'm not out on any of them yet. Week 1, we'll see.
I think Ben Johnson will have a better game this week. I do. I think he got a little too creative for his own britches. I think he did get predictable in down and distances specifically, like, oh, we're running this formation over there. The Chiefs knew what was coming.
Yep.
You saw that several times. And Chris, we talked about this offseason. One of the things that I was worried about was that defensive coordinators now have a book on him that they can read and study and learn from. And he's got to add new pages to that book. And I don't think he did a very good job of that in the first week. It doesn't mean that he won't do it against Seattle and going forward, but he's got some work to do too. And I think the humbling might be good for him because it will make him go back to basics and make him realize what made me special, but it's really what made the offense special. And how do I keep expanding and pushing that horizon? Because I think he does have the talent to work with that.
Yep.
I think the trust that he has in Jared Goff to execute what he's sending out to him, and hopefully the receiving core is a little bit healthier this week and playing a little bit better. I think you're going to see some things out of Ben Johnson because one of the things that the analytics folks and the film junkies love is that he sets up plays out the same formation all the time. He talked about with Panay catching the pass last year.
Yep.
Didn't really do much of that in the first week. Like, it's like they're setting it up for down the road. And I kind of disagree with the theory of doing that against Kansas City, but hey, it worked out. So that's why I'm sitting here yapping my gums and why he's going to be a head coach soon. And I think we're going to see Ben Johnson get back to being the Ben Johnson that we know and love this week.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, he is a very, very smart man. I'm not worried about him.
Yes.
All right, so we'll see. Look, don't hit the panic button on the offense. There's no reason to. We won, right? And they scored 21 points against a great defense. And again,
they scored 14. Brian Branch scored 7.
Okay,
6
or whatever. I'm not in fear. I'm not living in fear. So there we go. Let's we're gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that. Oh, you get me into the Antoine Green too early. They're done. All right, let's move on to the next topic. It is about, well, it's still the same Kansas City Chiefs game topic, but it's an important topic. Jahmyr Gibbs, how he was used. 6 forced missed tackles, number 1 in the league, 3rd highest graded halfback by PFF.
9 touches.
9 touches.
Thumb doesn't work. 9 touches.
7
carries for 42 yards. 2 receptions for 18 yards.
Yeah.
Not a bad night. Not decent debut. Not what fantasy football folks were expecting. And I think that's honestly where a lot of the criticism is coming from, is not necessarily from Lions fans, but much more from the fantasy community who trumpeted this guy as like, oh, he's going to be phenomenal. You know, he should be one of the top 10 running backs taken off the board. He's going to be explosive and everything. He will be.
Yeah.
But he's not the only guy here. And the Lions are going to play the matchup game. What matchups worked against Kansas City, a team that has really fast linebackers that are good at getting outside? Oh, by the way, the defensive ends that they have, Karlaftis, they're really good at sealing the blockers from getting out there so the linebackers can make those plays. I don't think that Ben Johnson didn't know that. I don't think that Dan Campbell didn't know that.
Yep.
This coming week, you're seeing a Seattle defense that plays a lot more zone, a lot more passive defense. I think you're going to see more Jahmyr Gibbs taking advantage of that because they load up to stop that inside run, but the outside run where the defensive backs have to get involved, a little tougher for them to do that. I think you're going to see a lot more Jahmyr Gibbs this week. And then all the fantasy people are like, oh, what are you doing with David Montgomery? He was great in week 1. Like,
Kamate. I think you're going to see, you're right, but I think you're going to see, to the Ben Johnson thing, on the more passive defense, you're going to see him attack. You're going to see Ben, and I think Ben's a little bit better against a passive defense than he is against it. And now, Green Bay didn't overcommit one way or the other. And I think that's actually the best way to play against Ben Johnson. A highly attacking defense, he will beat your ass.
The Chiefs were.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
It does, if you are passive, he will.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
That's right. Pretend that's Ben. He will absolutely beat your ass. The Chiefs played probably the best anti-Ben defense that you can play.
And they blitzed a lot, and they also blitzed creatively. Like, again, tip your hat to the opponent. That's a really good football team the Lions just beat. And they showed it.
Yeah.
And the Lions, by doing what they did, also showed that they're a very good football team and can play a long time this year. And that's...
Malcolm
if that's not your takeaway from week 1, go back and watch the game again.
Malcolm made a really, really great point. And Gibbs had a tutty. Yeah, he's great. Gibbs had a tutty if the turf monster didn't get him. He will be more. And that's absolutely, he did. And it was a rookie. He was super excited. You saw it, right? I mean, his
feet were going 1,000 miles an hour, man.
His head was going faster than those crazy feet too, right? It was like, it was insane. He had that. And I know he wants it back, but I saw, there's an absolute trip that didn't get called of a Kansas City player trying to tackle him. There was they were doing everything. He is going to be a real freaking problem in the NFL. He is an offensive weapon. He is a rookie, played game 1. I am not worried. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a ton of fun. And I don't care if he doesn't win your fantasy games for you, particularly because I don't have him in one of my leagues, but he, in complement with Montgomery, in complement with the rest of that offense, is going to be a real fucking problem. And I love it. I also have to thank Steve from Michigan for his $100 for St. Jude. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Up to $430 right now, total. Season for St. Jude, stjude.org/DLP. You can donate. It is fully tax deductible. All right.
Good start.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about Gibbs you wanted to kick out there, my man, Mr. Riz?
Just that I'm not at all worried about him. I think he's going to be great. I liked what I saw from him. The 2 big plays that he got came at critical times. It's clear that Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell trust him to execute when needed. And I'll just say that look at DeAndre Swift's line in Philadelphia for 1. Just do it.
Yep.
Go do it. Go do it now because it won't take long.
All right. See people saying Gibbs looked like DeAndre Swift. What a weapon. He was more physical than best. I think he has the best of best and more. So I'm excited with Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, let's get into the next topic. NFL Week 1. Just overall reactions, game reactions here. I was going to say overreactions. The one thing I want to talk about, I want to go to officiating really quick because we talked about right tackle playing fullback and punter and whatever else he was lined up as. The other thing that happened in just about every game that I seem to watch this week was there were false freaking starts everywhere. I don't know if the officials decided to tell the teams that we are de-emphasizing movement on the offensive line this season, but it was egregiously bad. It was, I'm not even joking. it was high school football level bad movement on the offensive line, and it continued to go uncalled in just about every game I watched. I was just stunned at how bad that was.
I'll tack on that. They also didn't do a very good job of watching the defense. If you talk to Cincinnati Bengals fans, they will tell you that the Browns were offsides a crap ton.
Yeah.
They were.
Yep.
Didn't matter because Joe Burrow got yanked because he sucked. And Browns defense came to play. They were my fantasy defense this year. They tell you what, Zadarius Smith going from Green Bay, weakening the Packers and strengthening what he does across from Myles Garrett. It's like James Houston across from Hutchinson. Like, it's not going to happen all the time, but when you get that one-on-one, it's going to create opportunities for your best player to be that much better. And that's James Houston. I think he had the one play where he's grabbing onto Mahomes' legs, almost got the sack. Like, that's great rep from him. Was glad to see that he got some work. Josh Pascal played very well on the defense. Yeah. But the officials were. So I did not get a chance to watch a lot of football closely on Sunday. I watched the Packers-Bears game on my phone. I was in an airport and in Chicago, actually. And, so I didn't have a lot to say about the officials there. I will say that the Bears desperately need a new offensive coordinator because Luke Getsy, you ain't it, buddy.
Holy,
you are not it, man.
Look, I feel bad for the Giants. I wanted to laugh at the Bears. I actually feel bad for them but I don't. But I do. But
no, I don't.
It was a disaster. What a shite show. This is one of those things where I think Fields might very well just be finished because of where he was drafted and the incompetence that surrounded him. He looks like he could be a good quarterback and could have been a good quarterback with decent coaching. I think of Okudah as another example of a player who came out and got wrecked in the NFL by shit coaches. I really feel like Justin Fields is that kind of guy. Look, I don't feel bad for the Bears. I don't feel bad for the Bears fans. Bears fans deserve that and more. But I don't know that Justin Fields does. You know what I mean? I don't know that he does as a human being or as a guy who spent his whole life honing his craft.
Yeah, he's in a situation where he really is. He can't really win. Now, he does not help himself, and I think that's a fair counter for all the people that are like, "Oh, you don't defend him." Like, yeah, he also didn't play well on his own outside of the structure. But good Lord, that's a really bad offense. Like, design. Like, and we as Lions fans, we know bad offensive coordinators. We know bad scheme design when we see it. We lived through Joe Lombardi. We lived through Mike Martz. Every play scores a touchdown.
Yeah,
except when they don't, Coach. Like, we know ourselves some ineffective coordinators and mismatch. Like, what's Ben Johnson great at? Designing an offense that the personnel that he's got can do. That ain't happening in Chicago. Not happening in New York either, but that's my takeaway from watching the Cowboys and the Giants was that Dallas is really damn good. I think that's probably the best takeaway from that.
Yes.
That's a really good football team in Dallas.
I didn't expect
and
all
they
that
also
from
matched
them.
up well.
I expected the normal Dallas clown show. That's really, really what I expected out of them. And that is not there. I'm hoping it all unravels by week 9, which is kind of their MO.
And it could.
Yeah. Levi, she'll dig in 90. From day one, he has been a watcher, listener of this show. When we were all audio back in the days of Case. Good to see you, Levi. I love you, brother.
Sweet.
What's the ceiling on Jack Campbell? I'm scared to say he reminds me of Brian Urlacher with his height, instincts, and speed.
That's too much for me.
You think Urlacher's too much for? Okay,
I do. I think we're going to see a guy this weekend in Bobby Wagner. He could be like that. I'm not going to say that he's going to be, because Bobby Wagner's phenomenal. Bobby Wagner is a legitimate Hall of Fame candidate, and I do not want to put that on Jack Campbell. But the instincts you saw on the play where he came off the coverage and darn near got an interception the play before Branch got his interception, we saw that a lot in camp. There are things that he has to do. His path to the football in the run game has to improve. And that's something that's going to get challenged by Seattle. You better believe it. but he is a really smart, instinctive, and very hyper athletic player. And when he puts those two hands together, and he has at times, when he's putting those hands together all the time, he's going to be real good.
Yeah.
Real good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that he can be Bobby Wagner, but he can be Bobby Wagner-like. And I think we're all going to be happy with that.
Really quick, got someone calling the shot here. What's James Houston's ceilings, Riz? he actually put Foghorn there, so just so you know.
Oh, nice.
He was calling the shot completely.
So the thing that I'm encouraged about with James Houston, and I did this in the Giants preseason game and the Panthers preseason game, his run defense was really solid. And that's a ticket to get him on the field. And he wasn't making tackles, but he was stacking the edge. He wasn't getting caught in the wash. He was setting the hard edge so the linebackers behind the complete, which is exactly what Aaron Glenn wants him to do on run plays, by the way.
Yep.
I thought that portended very well for him to get more reps. Now, the problem is that he's got guys ahead of him that can play. Charles Harris did not have a great game, and I worry about that, quite frankly.
Yep.
Josh Paschal was great. John Kaminsky was great. He was great in that game.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, you're taking somebody else who's really good off the field to play Houston, and Houston, to this point, is still very hit or miss. He's getting better at it, and I hope that they give him more chances to show what he can do in obvious non-passing situations. Like, let him be out there on 1st and 10. We didn't really see that.
Yep.
I would like for him to be more than a sub-package player, but to this point, the Lions don't need him to be that, and they don't have to learn that he can't be that guy the hard way. And that goes back to talking about, Brian Branch not having to start as a rookie. You're not having to play guys more and have higher level of expectations for guys than what they're comfortable with. And I think James Houston is comfortable being what he is now, but he's hungry enough to try and go get more.
Yeah.
As far as a pass rusher, he's so fast. He does have to work on strength, and he has to work on counters, because if he doesn't win with his first move, he's still kind of. But that's not uncommon for a young pass rusher. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a problem. He is the problem, and he will continue to be that.
I'd like to bring it back to the division a little bit. We saw Green Bay beat Chicago. I have a hard time saying Green Bay beat Chicago because both teams looked like ass. I think it was just a little spackled ass over there in Green Bay, to be honest with you, because Chicago was so bad. I want to take the next divisional game, though, and really put this out there for folks, because this was a surprise. This could very well be fool's gold, or this could be the 1 point differential starting to turn its ugly, rear its ugly, in our case, beautiful head. Tampa Bay just ball dragged the Minnesota Vikings. Completely unexpected. Tampa with your hero as a quarterback, Baker Mayfield, your absolute hero. You were sad the Lions didn't pick him up. What?
5 minutes I won't say.
What the holy cow, man. That game was absolutely unexpected. Minnesota, again, potential fool's gold here. But if this trend is real with all three of these teams, can I just put a stamp on the division right now? Can I just say, fuck them, we got this? Because what I saw in week 1, brother,
I would love to be able to do that. I can't do that. I just can't, but I would love to do that. I will say this about Baker Mayfield. When you doubt Baker Mayfield is when he's got you. That's when he's at his best. All the time, going back to high school. That's when the expectations are there for him, he wilts. When he's got machines to rage against, he's rocking, baby. And Mike Evans, by the way, you saw in that game why the Buccaneers are not trading Mike Evans. End of conversation.
Yeah.
That should end any. It's like, who's going to win the AFC or the NFC South? Why not Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
I don't think
it wasn't the Raiders, it wasn't the Saints. Sorry, it wasn't the Saints. Carolina.
Carolina's they're young. They got some work to do. Atlanta, I think
they have a shot.
I actually picked Atlanta. I picked Atlanta to win the division, so I still will lean with them. But they're they were a little iffy too.
Yep.
Again, week 1, fool's gold. You got to remember that, and do not. And my advice to all you people who like to bet on games: don't overreact to week 1, because weird things happen then, and it could wind up going back to the way you expected things. It could wind up being, a path that you didn't expect. Who's that unexpected team this year that suddenly, races out to being 7-1?
Detroit.
Aside from Detroit, of course, I did pick Detroit to be 0-2, and I'm very happy to be wrong about that. But like, who's going to be that surprise team? Like, could it be Atlanta? Could it be Washington? Could it be
Atlanta's capable? Yeah.
There's some. It could be Cleveland. I actually wouldn't bet against Cleveland on that, but
right. Well, here you go. I'll just throw this. You look at what you have overall. You've got the Browns, the Jags, the Raiders, and Lions all 1-0 in the first week of the season. That's never happened before. That's never happened.
Literally never happened before.
Yeah. In the history of the NFL.
So I will go back to the 3 teams that I've covered for the NFL wires. I've covered the Texans, the Browns, and the Lions. And I've been there since the end of the 2016 season. Those 3 teams have all won in the same week twice since 2016. Houston couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. They were close though. Like they know they're not good, but yeah. That's
behind the Fiends in the 80s when my mom worked at a hotel in North Carolina. The Lions offensive tackle Chris Dietrich used to stay at the offseason, go fishing. Such an amazing fellow, and been a Lions fan ever since. Behind the Fiends, thank you for that super chat. Lions have historically had quality people on the team, and I really love what we've done now to bring quality people in and quality players that are quality people. Really, really awesome to see. Easy to make.
Brian Branch is a great example.
Yep. Easy to be a fan of a team like that. Baker turns disrespect into fuel the same way Justin Fields turns open wide receivers into a scramble from the pocket. Absolutely. I love that. I just want to say for the Lions, you look at the division, check out DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store. And we have a wicked, I wish I had it right here. I don't. 1991 NFC Central Champs shirt available. It is fire. They've been flying off the shelves. I've said it since the off season. Thank you, Anonymous, for the $25 for St. Jude. You are a rock and roll star. I've said it since the off season. It's time to cast away the ghosts. It's time to celebrate the history, where we have it, celebrate the wins, and get those balls out and walk with them. Get your wheelbarrow, just like Dan Campbell does down the sideline, and be proud of your Lions and who they are and what they've done over time. They've had a dry spell. The Wings had a dry spell before they finally won it in 97 as well. And, they're one of the crowns of the jewels of the crown, even still, of the NHL. Be proud of your Lions. Go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com/store and get that sweet throwback retro 1991 design NFC Central champs, because before you know it, you're going to have to get your 2023 NFC North champs shirt. If we see what we saw from the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings for the rest of this season, it's going to be an easy march to the top, and you are going to see a very, very insufferable Chris. And I am going to talk about putting the stamp on this every week, until I'm either humiliated or we do this. End of frickin' story, because that's what we do in Detroit. That's what Detroit Lions fans do, because we are where we haven't been in most of your lives. Most of you have not been here before. Enjoy it. All right. Week 1. Anything else to talk about, Riz? Oh, yes. There is one game. Former Packer. Still wears green.
We got to talk about it, don't we?
Yeah.
Chris, so I was out at dinner and we got back to the hotel room and I'm like, why is Zach Wilson playing? I didn't listen to the game on the radio. Didn't have it on at dinner. What's Zach Wilson doing? And where I was at was not a good spot to watch and pay attention to things on the internet. And plus, I was paying attention. By the way, I got to bring this up real fast. You and I and a couple other people had a dinner in Detroit.
Yeah.
And we were there for 3 hours, and we did not look at our phones once, other than one person who got texted who had to attend to it. Our phones were down, and we didn't pay any attention to it. I freaking loved that, and I'm trying to do more of that in my life. So for those of you who are trying to get me on social media, unfortunately, you're the unfortunate victim of that. But when I'm with people, I'm not paying attention to my phone nearly as much as I used to, and I think that's good for me, and I think it's good for America. I think it's good for everybody.
Riz not looking at his phone is good for America.
That's for damn sure. So I didn't know what was going on is the long and the short of it. And then like, why is that? Then I did get on the Twitter and I'm like, or X, whatever, social media, and found out what was going on. I'm like, and my instant reaction honestly was, damn, that sucks for Aaron. And not that I feel, not that I don't want bad things to happen to him, but I don't want that to happen. Like, I wanted him to fail on his own. I wanted it to not work with him being healthy and trying to be at his best, and it just didn't work. And I don't mean that as any disparagement against the Jets. I just wanted him to go away from Green Bay. And actually, there was a little bit of a part of me that wanted him to succeed away from Green Bay. That's like, okay, it's not just them. Like, he's incredible. He's a Hall of Famer. I have nothing but respect for Aaron Rodgers' game, but I don't like it. The fact that I can't root against it now kind of leaves a hole in my life, Chris.
Where it leaves
Does that make
me,
sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Where it leaves me, and I haven't really heard a whole lot of people talking about this, but I have become the biggest Zach Wilson fan on the face of the earth, maybe. I want to face the Zach Wilson-led New York Jets in the Super Bowl this year because Green Bay now gets a second-round pick, right? Instead of a first round. And if we face him in the Super Bowl, it's basically a third-round pick for Aaron Rodgers. Can you tell me that wouldn't be freaking poetic justice?
That's right.
Oh, God, I would
he didn't
love
meet
that.
the snap requirement. The pick does revert, doesn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Come on, Zach. I believe you didn't ever get a real chance. People disparaged you. You didn't deserve it. You've got it in you, man. And darn it, people like you. You can do this, buddy.
He was better than Josh Allen Monday night, and I never thought I'd say that. Josh Allen, not good. Not good. Hey, remember, you play for the blue team, not the green team. Maybe start throwing to the blue team a little bit more. That was rough, man. Some of those decisions he made were like wow. It was like a flashback to Wyoming when I saw Wyoming play Eastern Michigan in person, and Brogan Roback kicked his ass. Yeah. And in that game, he threw 7 potential interceptions. The Eagles only caught 2 of them. By the way, it's just will be the Hurons, but I digress. But I thought that Josh Allen was gone, and I like the new Josh Allen. Like, he's fun, man. He's an easy dude to like. That was not good.
He at the end of the game, he receded back into the bush because all the Buffalo fans were looking at him like, "What in the F did you do?"
Isn't he great in that ad?
Yeah,
he's really good.
He is. If I was him, I'd be buried in bush too, but that's something different. All right. Anyway, that's that. We had a great week 1. It was so awesome. I mean, so I had been traveling or like working. I had to go to Gainesville for my wife's birthday. I mean, and that's not work. That was a great celebration, but it was always something keeping me away from doing things for 3 weeks. And this weekend I got home, my planes were delayed. I got home late on Friday night. I was exhausted. I went to bed finally at 2 a.m. on Friday night. I slept till 12:30 the next afternoon. I was friggin' exhausted. I woke up, planted my ass on the couch, watched college football all day. After I came up to here, I threw on UFC and college football. I had to watch my Gators for the night. Got done with the night, had a couple pops, of course. Went to bed, slept in again till 12:30. Woke up and watched the NFL. All day. That's all I did. In the hurricane that went by, while my wife was here alone, the hurricane that flew by, it ripped a shutter off the house. I haven't even looked for like, where do I get a new shutter? Like, I haven't done any frigging thing. I've been exhausted. I'm about to head off to the the resort this weekend. I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon with my wife. We're going to have a nice getaway, and I'm going to bury myself in rum runners and massages and good times at the beach and the pool and all that. But
good for y'all. Enjoy that, man. You've earned it.
We'll be back.
We all collectively appreciate what you do, and you've earned the time to take a little time for yourself and the young lady that you call your wife.
But don't worry, folks. She's legal, everyone. First, number one. But also, don't worry. We have content coming for you. We got Ash doing the daily still. We've got a great piece about the Seahawks from Mike, who used to cover the Seahawks for a couple years in Seattle. He was on-air talent in Seattle. We got a great piece about that matchup coming on Friday from him. Really, really good stuff coming. It doesn't stop just because I do. And, of course, we have the post-game show. It will be me, and I call him Mike. Everyone else knows him as Gray. So me and Gray will be on the post-game show after the Lions game on Sunday. Good time. All right. Thanks for indulging me there for a minute. I want to get to the next topic really quick. Don't forget, it's the season for St. Jude. Big thanks, like I said, Anonymous, for the $25 donation. We're looking for 50 grand this year. stjude.org/DLP. Everything you donate, 100% tax deductible. You just type in whatever name you want in there. It can be anonymous. It can be your real name, whatever you want, but your receipt still comes. You can get all your money back at the end of the year. Appreciate everyone who's doing that. It's a great cause, and we do it every year. And November 3rd, the Friday of the bye week, we will do our 24-hour podcast-a-thon, and we'll have some great guests. We have a lot of good stuff coming. We're almost just about a month and a half away.
I might have gotten us a really good guest over the weekend, Chris, inadvertently.
Ooh, I like inadvertent guests. Don't tell anyone.
Oh, we got Gray last year,
and yeah,
that was everybody's introduction to Gray. I invited him to come on. He was somewhat reluctant. He's like, "What? People don't know who I am." Yeah, they will.
Now they do. Yeah. We're gonna do an event too. We are gonna do a live event. Thank you, Malcolm. Appreciate you, brother. We have a live event that we were going to do it last year. Didn't come together. We will do it live during the podcast-a-thon. Get ready to compete and win sweet prizes. Awesome stuff. You will absolutely love what we've got coming. All right. More to come. Let's get into it. Lions versus the Seahawks. The officiating crew. That's usually, again, there's been a shift in the timeline. We don't care as much about the officiating crew, but we're going to talk about it because the Lions get Alex Kemp this weekend. This is a crew that's known for being extremely...
He throws flags.
Happy. That's right. Through 17 in the San Fran and Pittsburgh game last week. Thank you for that, Justin Rogers. Justin Rogers is a great follow on the Twitter and at Detroit News. Check out all his stuff. Justin is a fantastic writer, has his shit together.
All right. Look up who all is on his crew, because there's one person on his crew. His umpire calls more than any other umpire, and I got to get his name.
I don't like to brag, Kevin, but oh man,
Alex Kemp, who's his umpire? I'm looking at Football Zebras, by the way, which is a very good site.
While you look that up, let me do a quick thing. I'm sorry, I just want to give a shout out to Sandman Slow Lights, Sandman 7773, Sandman 7773. Check out his YouTube channel. His slow lights are already fire. He did Danger from Electric Six. I couldn't believe it. Love that he put that song in there. I've got another
I
one for
love
him.
that.
Yeah, I've got another one for him this week, so we'll get to it. But check out Sandman's stuff. He's always been great, and I just got a sense this year you're going to have a flood of Sandman slow lights because they're going to stack those wins. All right, so Riz, go ahead. I started to interrupt.
Sandman, real fast. I got a song request for you. Non-point, Ruthless.
Ooh.
One other quick thing about Alex Kemp.
Yes.
Detroit native, graduate of Central Michigan University.
Really? I had one for him that I was going to ask, and I have to remember. There it is. Yep. I'm asking for Ludacris Get Back. I think that would be a good one. Yeah, especially if it's a defensive
guy. I know that. I kind of like Ludacris.
Ludacris cool, man.
Again, not my genre of music, but I can dig some Ludacris.
Yep. All right, go ahead, buddy. I interrupted you with Sandman and took you off course. Who is our second official that you want to talk about?
Mike Morton.
Yes.
Is his umpire. He's a former NFL player, and he throws like throws the flag. It's kind of entertaining to watch.
I love that.
So yeah, but this is a crew. They're a fairly young crew, but a lot of the guys are in their second or third year, and they were sort of like when other guys retired, they kind of scrambled guys around and reassembled, and so we'll see how it goes. But they're not a crutch, they're not an excuse anymore. As we saw in week 1, we talked about it earlier. The Lions know how to adapt to how the game is being called.
100%.
That's a sign of a good coach. If you can't do that, you might be Steve Mariucci.
It's Dan Campbell and now the rest of the team. When there's a bad call or crappy stuff from the umpires, what I hear, the words I hear come out of their voices, I ain't no bitch. And they go out and they kick ass. They don't care.
Wow. Seems harsh. Okay.
But they used to be. They used to fold. When that stuff would happen, you would see them get mad and it would get in their head. You could just tell when a Lions game was going to flip because you'd get a bad call and they would just fold. And now, like I said, I ain't no bitch. I ain't folding. I'll come back twice as hard, twice as mean. I'm not going to fold because you're a bad official. I'm going to win this game. It's that grit. I love it. I ain't no bitch.
So Sandman. Sandman, Metallica, ain't my bitch.
There you go.
Just throwing out song requests here for you. I will request one, Andy, because I will be at the Coheed and Cambria concert in Royal Oak on Monday night. If you could play the running free for highlights of Jahmyr Gibbs running for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, I will be forever grateful.
Yeah.
By the way, any other children of the fence who are there, if you see me there, come say hi. I might buy you a beer.
I got to fly up just for that. I honestly don't think Riz has ever bought me a beer. Not that I need it.
I don't. But I don't know if I have either, actually. That's weird.
I'm not angling for it. It's not a big deal. I don't care. We still have a lot of fun. And by the way, Sam, so one more thing for Sandman. When you come for the Bucks game, buddy, I've got the Wet Willie's mix ready to go. I've got my thing Everclear, and I got it. I've made one call a cab mix, and it's delicious. It is fantastic. So there you go. All right.
Somewhere Mac Robinson shudders.
Oh man! Oh, somebody was requesting this, and this is worth it. The Lions earned it against Kansas City this week.
Because the Lions won a game, bitch.
That's right. The Lions won a game, bitch. All right. Let's see. Lions versus Seahawks. The officiating crew's there. Expect a bunch of flags and expect it not to bother the team. Yep. Importance of an outcome against the Seahawks. Let's talk about this. This is a big thing. Gray's going to go into it also on Friday. He's got a really good angle, and I know we're not gonna hit that one. Riz, let's talk about this. The Detroit Lions, game 2. A lot of people, you thought they would be 0-2 after the Seahawks game. And I did. We have a chance here to do something. And this again, I'm going to use this phrase again, and I apologize, but this is a chance to really put a stamp on the start of this season. These are the 2 games. Everyone said these are the toughest 2 games. The Lions can start 0-2. Oh, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so tough to deal with because the rest of the season is going to be okay, and they're going to come back, and it's a team that's going to win. What's the importance this week, Riz? Why is this game so important to the Detroit Lions?
So I will say I don't think that a lot of people expected the Lions to be 1-0. I don't think many at all expected 2-0. And while the team will say, hell yeah, we expected to win every game, the players, they're not dumb. We just talked about that. Like, they understand that if they can go 2-0, what a tremendous opportunity that is. Seattle's a very good football team. I picked preseason the Seahawks to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Not looking so good right now. But the point is that it's a real. If you can beat the team that won the last Super Bowl and a team that has a realistic to get there this year in the first 2 weeks, they, as I said on last week's show, the 2 hardest games on the schedule, probably going to Dallas at the end of the year, are weeks 1 and 2. If you can come out of that 2-0 with because it shows, okay, now you expect to win And now you're not the hunter, you're the hunted. And you can wear the target on your back instead of shooting at the target on your back. That's the sign, Chris, of what you were talking about the change.
Let me
that to me would do that.
Let me tell you, because you're right. Let me read something off to you, Riz, because I think you're 100% on point here. We beat Seattle. We're 2-0. We beat the two toughest teams. Let me just roll you to the bye now. Atlanta, Green Bay, Carolina,
we can win that.
Tampa, Baltimore, the Raiders, and then the bye week. They're not going to. They're going to lose a shitty game in there. They're going to lose a bad game in there. But
they will.
The reality is they can beat every one of those teams. They could go undefeated into the bye.
Yes, they can.
Team could. They have the talent.
You watch Baltimore, or wasn't great week one. They're good. We're good too. And I think the ability to sustain, because you had week one and you can explain it. Weird things happen. Talk about that all night.
Yep.
You go back and do it again in week two. That shows that wasn't a fluke in Kansas City. That shows that you have that home field advantage now. You have risen. You have raised your collective floor and expectations and are comfortable being where you're at. We're good being the hunted. We're still hungry. We're going to go out there and we're going to play like we're the hunters, but we can handle the pressure of expectations and the weight of elevated expectations, for lack of a better.
They've done it all offseason.
That to me would be a huge statement, even more than beating Kansas City in Kansas City. The fact that you're 1-0 and now you go and you beat a really good Seattle team that they're wounded, and we'll talk very briefly about that. But my goodness, this is a game that the Lions probably should win. How many times have we said that in the past? And it's admittedly not many. Yeah. And they've come up short. They've laid a giant egg. I think of the Jets game.
Every time they should have won.
The first Sam Darnold game. I think of other so many games. I think of the Patriots game last year where we thought, we got a shot at they're kind of in disarray and they kicked our ass. This would be to me, a sign that they take themselves seriously and have the right mindset and mentality and talent and focus and coaching and discipline to handle being who they are as a very successful football team.
Yep.
That's what I want to see.
Michelle Cox asks, was that like button better than hymns? You're going to have to tell me, Michelle. Sorry.
The audience gets it. I love it. Y'all are great. Y'all make me happy.
She was hilarious. Met them at the party, at the party, Michelle and Tim Stein. Michelle Cox never hits the likes button. They're hilarious. All right. So yeah, no, this is a team like you said. If I feel like every time there was a game that we were absolutely going to win, we failed. We choked on it. It was like, oh yeah, this one we got, and they couldn't meet the expectations. They couldn't address that. They couldn't rise to the occasion.
They need some hymns.
They needed the hymns, and now Dan Campbell is the hymns.
They are the hymns. I like that better.
You know what? We're getting a sponsorship from those motherfuckers. That's it. Because this is going to be the year of Detroit Lions hymns. We are standing up for the Detroit Lions with hymns. Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
Book it, Michelle.
Sponsors. I feel like I'm on a huge show.
MCDC is hymns.
I like it. It's good.
We've got something here, my friends. We have got something.
So I'm very excited. The flip side of it is if they lose, do they treat it like, okay, we're 1-1 after the very tough start. How do we come out of that? And I think going to Atlanta at that point, that's a home game, isn't it?
Yeah, they're coming to us. Yeah. That's the hardest thing for Atlanta. I would think going to Atlanta is a game I would be concerned about. That would be a little
tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta's really fast. That's one of the things that I picked up. They got a lot of speed on it, aside from Bajan. But yeah, being able to come out of the first 2 weeks 1-1 and still have the mentality, if that happens, if they are 1-1, to come out and stay focused and not be like too wrapped up in the fact, hey, we won one of those games that nobody expected us to win. We shut that idiot Risen up with winning both of them. That type of thing. Like, that's it's like it's not just multiplying, it's squaring. Like, it's exponential. Even though 2 times 2 is also the same as 2 squared. Like, it feels different when you put the little superscript 2. Like I think that's what we can do with this. It's a force multiplier. It's that sort of thing. And I think that's I now, as you will read, because I already had the prediction, I picked the Lions to win this game now. The preseason 0-2, that's history.
Here we go. Book it. The James Houston Memorial Horn says that Risen now picks the Lions to win the game. Oh, no.
Watch me jinx them. Oh, bloody hell. I don't need that. I'll be there. I will be at them, and it's my birthday. They're not going to let me down.
There you go. I have to give shout out to Jeffrey and Tina K9, members of the channel for 20 months. 20 months as members. Thank you both, Tina, for being members. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for the awesome content. Love you guys. Love you too. Thanks so much for being members on the team. Oh, man. All right. Titus turned. Lions will show what we have been waiting for it for decades. Let these dogs eat one pride. You got a frog crop. All right. I want to go on the importance of this game. I think we've got that covered. Let's do a preview of the Detroit Lions versus the Seattle Seahawks. First and foremost, do you want to start with the injury report?
Yeah, because it's very important.
Okay. A crucial player's out. And I'm going to take a moment and talk about this one piece. Okay. I rarely come around on Ohio State Buckeyes. There's for some reason, it's very, very hard for me. There's very few, and I've seen a lot of good players and I could admit they're good, but it gets implanted in my head. Chris Spielman is one that absolutely I love and can just shed my Michigan kind of roots and just say, I love you, Chris Spielman. You are my hero. I can say that straight up. The other one is Taylor Decker. And we will be without Taylor Decker, it looks like, this week at left tackle. Crucial, terrifying kind of thing to be without Mr. Taylor Decker on this offensive line.
I'm still holding out hope that he plays. One of the things that I actually wrote today, and it's a question, and it's a question that you can answer, Chris. How do you think they replace him should he have to sit out? Is it a case where they move Sewell from right to left, and then you bring in Matt Nelson as your right tackle?
That's a great question.
Do you kick Vaitai out? Like, they have a number of different options that they can do, and I frankly don't know what my thought is that for 1 week, they'll leave Sewell at right tackle and try Matt Nelson at left tackle.
100%. Sewell never played on the left side during camp. He has not had any reps over there. No. And Vaitai, he's just not super mobile. You know what I mean? He's your guard. He's your guy. He's the one. He and Sewell side by side are him. They're them, right? Whatever. That's just you don't mess with that. Matt Nelson is absolutely serviceable, agree. And you can look when you saw Sam Laporta blocking.
I don't know about that.
Sam Laporta blocking defensive ends like a tackle.
Yeah.
You can chip them. You can put the two of them together. You can team with Nelson and Laporta. You can do this. They can do this. I'm not terribly worried. You get them some help over there. The line, again, is a team. The line will elevate players that are less. Matt Nelson was there last year. He knows Hank. Hank has put him under his wing, has had him for a while. I know you've not liked what you saw in the preseason. I know last year you didn't like what you saw in the preseason. You were terrified of what that offensive line would be if there was injury, and there was injury week 1 and throughout the year, and they were able to hold it together. Matt Nelson is on the left tackle. Panay stays on the right side. They give Nelson help, and we're okay. That's my prediction for how things play.
All right. I said it was going to play, but in the off chance that he doesn't, I would also do that. Too many moving parts, man. You don't move those things around. The other thing that you can do, like you talked about, one of the things about Taylor Decker, and some people will see it as a negative. I kind of see both sides of it. He does not like having a tight end next to him. He doesn't. And he's talked about why. Matt Nelson doesn't have that issue. So you can get more creative with your tight ends. You can play more 2 tight end sets.
Yep.
That will work against Seattle. In a weird way, it opens things up to attack differently. I don't think it will be nearly as effective because Taylor Decker is a damn good offensive lineman. He's great.
Yep.
And you're going to miss him, but there are ways to compensate for him where you're not just plugging in Matt Nelson to be Taylor Decker. Like, you're not asking 67 to go out and be 68. You're asking him to do the best that he can, and we will help you with other guys.
Yep. And
you keep Vaitai and Sewell, and that's what I would do. That's the choice I would make. As scary as it is for me that Matt Nelson, who was absolutely not better than Jermaine Ifedi in the preseason or training camp, like, wasn't really even close. I'll be all right.
Yeah. It's Nwasu who's going to be their edge, which is a little bit scary to face a Matt Nelson.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he is definitely good. And Wagner plays on that side behind it. Here's the thing to watch for. Here's the thing to watch for, and it's the brains and the brilliance of a Ben Johnson. Because if they decide that they're going to get real blitzy and they're going to put all that pressure on, you watch Amon-Ra feast. You watch Gibbs feast. You watch Laporta leak and feast. You watch the screen come alive. I hope to God I don't see a bubble screen to Marvin Jones. But other than that, I think we've got all kinds of opportunity to make them sit back a little bit and slow their ass down. And once that happens, then the game's all over. Montgomery, that's one thing we didn't see in week 1 and that I think we're going to see soon is he's got really, really good hands. And he leaking for a pass he's going to burn some people really bad. We have a lot of options for a really, when they focus the rush, they start beating up on Nelson, and then they put pressure on the other side of the line as well. We have all kinds of options to beat that. And I think that's actually where Ben Johnson is going to feast.
I want a wheel route off of a chip block from David Montgomery. I want that.
Yeah.
May or may not have seen that in camp.
Let me ask you. So Jeffrey and Tina, they're asking, Riz, are you no longer writing for Real GM? And I know we made the announcement, but maybe we should do it again because Real GM is such an awesome place.
It was. I am not. I resigned. I took over Draft Wire with my friend Kurt Popejoy, who runs Steelers Wire. We now collectively run Draft Wire together, and one of the concessions that I had to make in order to do that time-wise and family-wise so that I had to give Real GM up. And I noticed it, so I'll do this quickly. Sundays for me have been 18 to 20-hour work days since 2006 when I started writing the weekly 10 cents. And it was weird Sunday not writing it. And I actually was in my head, as I outlined throughout the week, and I think about it, it was awkward. It was very awkward today because normally I used to write the picks columns on Wednesday afternoons, and I didn't do that the last 2 weeks. And it's, quite frankly, it's hard, but I had to give it up. I'm in nothing against Real GM. They understood completely. Quite frankly, they were happy that it lasted as long as it did, as I was.
It never lasts that long,
nothing but good
Riz.
things to say about them.
2006 to 2022, it never lasts that long. And I'll shut out. Don't stop because Riz is gone. Real GM is a class operation. They took care of Riz in the early days when he was a little too young to be taken care of.
They had no reason to pay me, and they did.
And they took care of Riz. A lot of the Senior Bowl coverage, a lot of the stuff you have is courtesy. Was courtesy of Real GM, and that's a big investment in a guy like Riz. And they did a lot for him. They're a great organization. Treat their people really well. Please go back to Real GM. Frequent their stuff. They have great people there, and they're run by really quality people. So,
especially if you're a Pistons or Raptors fan. Because it is ostensibly a basketball site. There's a thriving Pistons community on there still. There's a thriving Raptors community on there still. I still go to the message boards and contribute under the Cavaliers board and a little bit to the NFL draft board just because I love those guys, man. make relationships with people there. So do that. But yeah, I unfortunately just don't. I can't do it anymore. It was time that something had to give, and unfortunately, they were the part that had to give. But
Yep.
I would encourage you, if you like my draft stuff, go to DraftWire.
DraftWire.
We're having a lot of fun with that too.
There you go. All right. So to preview the game, we recognize that left tackle is going to happen. There's a question from a guy named, you may have heard of him. He's a Chicago Bears fan, Don Burr. Don Burr wants to know.
Don, don't take that, buddy.
He won't. Will we see Antoine Green get elevated above Marvin Jones after Marvin Jones' performance last week? And it's an interesting question because I can see a rotation like that for some of the players depending on who they're playing against.
I think you saw the answer to that, and Khalif got the reps that Marvin gave up. I think that's going to continue. I think Ben Johnson, quite frankly, forgot about Khalif early in that game to his detriment. That's one of the reasons why I don't think he had a very good game. I don't think he's going to make that mistake again. And against a team that has the speed that Seattle does at corner, not saying that Antoine Green isn't very fast and very big and doesn't have that. I think you want a little bit more savvy and experience with that, and that's what Khalif gives you. So I think you're going to see more of him earlier in the game this week as the adjustment to that.
Yep.
We'll see. I'm not opposed to Antoine Green getting some reps out there and seeing what he can do because he's a big body. His routes are not bad. He can catch, and he's not easy to tackle with his size and speed. There's something there. There's something there to work with. But I kind of think we're going to have to wait a little bit more before we see a lot of Antoine Green.
Yep. Don Burr, Vikings getting popped tomorrow by Philly, 0-2. Teddy Bears lose Sunday, 0-2. He's got tears after that one. And Todd Bowles defense. I love that, Todd Bowles.
I like Todd Bowles. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He got a rough run in Tampa. You can speak for that more than I can. But,
yeah.
It's not looking good. So the way that the Vikings interior offensive line played and the way that Jalen Carter and the Eagles defensive front played, ouch. Yeah, Jalen Carter was really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice to see. Validated my fact that I had him as the number one player in the draft.
Yep.
He looked it.
Ken Button, thank you, sir, for being a member on the channel. Appreciate you. All right. We have the Matt Nelson effect and we talk about Antoine Green. Let's talk a little bit more about what we have. A lot of people worried about, no Taylor Decker, a lot of pass rush, pressure makes Goff wilt. We saw something a little different last year from Goff. The season did start with the 360 no scope panic Goff under pressure. The season ended even when he was under pressure with a different Jared Goff. And I think this is a very planned thing. I think it's a very practiced thing. We'll see. But Jared, when he was under pressure, he never looked panicked. He looked poised the entirety of the Chiefs game. I don't know that I have fear that Jared's going to 360 no scope anything anymore. I think we're going to see, I think he has confidence in his offense and his players. And I think that with Ben Johnson and the expectations for how Seattle is going to react to our personnel, knowing that they likely have two tackles out, at least one, and then they have the corpse of a potential Hall of Famer who going to get just destroyed by Aiden Hutchinson.
So let's talk about that. So their offensive tackles are wounded, to say the least. I am a massive Abe Lucas fan, and if you were a Penei Sewell fan, you too would be an Abe Lucas fan. Especially if you live in Detroit, because if you're looking for anybody who's as close to the style and mindset and brute power that Penei Sewell brings to right tackle, it's Abe Lucas. That guy's good, folks. They're going to miss him a lot. Jason Peters coming in, will not say a bad word about Jason Peters. You can't pay me to say a bad word, but he hasn't practiced. He hasn't played. He's 40 years old, 41 years old. I don't know how that's going to work for him with Aiden Hutchinson there. And, oh, by the way, if they try to help him, that means Josh Paschal, John Kaminsky, James Houston, CJ Gardner-Johnson blitzing out of the slot. Brian Branch, who was the best blitzing defensive back in college football last year. You don't think AG knows that? They're going to find ways, and Geno cannot run. He's not more mobile than Goff. That's just not what he does. And I think that is a massive equalizer for a wide receiving core that I think is the best in football. I love the mix that Seattle has on the outside.
Yep.
And the fact that their tight ends complement it very well and that their backs catch the ball well out of the backfield. The ability to get Geno to rush and to panic and throw off the timing and the angles, the football geometry that they do very well. That's why I'm picking the Lions to win instead of lose, because that again, if you're playing without both of your offensive tackles, that's a tall order, man. When you got a Detroit defense that's playing the way they are,
Thank you.
I don't know. That to me is huge. And I want to reiterate, Abe Lucas is really, really good. And I don't think he gets nearly the credit for it because he was a third-round rookie last year and didn't have the necessary expectations. Again, if you like Penei Sewell, you will like Abe Lucas, and you will like him every game that Seattle isn't playing Detroit because he plays the same way, and he's pretty darn close to the skill level, quite frankly. And I don't think he gets that recognition. And that's a massive imagine playing this game without Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
How would you feel about the Lions? That's exactly what the Seahawks fans are going through right now. And you can do a whole lot worse than finding a Jason Peters off the street to come in and play. But dude's going to the Hall of Fame someday. But I will say his best days are behind him.
And I'm going to say there's something to be said.
Negative I'll say about Jason Peters.
There's something to be said for playing angry. And this Detroit Lions team has revenge on its mind. They've been owned by the Seahawks for a while. The Seahawks kept them out of the playoffs, right? This Detroit Lions team, they're here for payback. They want what was theirs, and they have every motivation to go get it. I really believe there's a extra layer of drive to take this game. It's the home opener. It's against a team that kept them out of the playoffs. It's Riz's birthday. They've got every reason that they want to go out and kick ass and take names.
I share my birthday with one Mark Brunell. Also with one Rasheed Wallace. Ball don't lie.
Really? Wow. Ski masks in the crowd. Oh, they don't own us. They rented us, and we're now.
It's also Patrick Mahomes' birthday. I'm glad we're not playing him on his birthday.
Peaceful Tim says they don't own us. They rented us, and now we come to collect. Wearing a motherfucking ski mask.
No. Now, see, you warned people earlier not to take that too seriously. Like, don't ruin the good time.
Yeah, have fun with it. Enjoy it, folks. Don't wreck it. Don't wreck the fun. Just have fun with the ski mask thing, please. Please. Don't think you're anonymous because you're just going to be an asshole. All right. What kind of reaction would Sheila get if she went out and said, "Hey, Lions fan"? If she would get a bigger reaction if she said, "Hey, Heidi Ho, Lions fans." That's exactly where it would be at. Hey, while you're watching, we ask once per show, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We do this if you're sitting here watching, you're enjoying yourself. If you're having an okay time, just hit the like button, help us out. Kick the ass on that YouTube algorithm. Get yourself you get a little taste of him when you do that too. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thank you, Sound Kayak, for subscribing. Thank you, Jack, for the $25 to St. Jude. We appreciate you. We are on the way. stjude.org/DLP, fully tax deductible. Get your money in there and help those sick kids and their families. They deserve it at a time that's very, very, very difficult for them. All right, with that, we're going to talk about what it is to close out a show. Remember, don't forget about us on Patreon. Patreon is where you get access to the Slack, where you get to see the result of the pants-free hymns hopping guys. Go to patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. Donate at least $5 a month there, and you'll get access to the Slack. It's a good time. Great people, a lot of fun. And come in.
I missed you all over the weekend. I wasn't on there very much in the last few days. I miss y'all.
Yeah, you missed a lot of fun. Let's it's a good time. All right. Michelle, we need to beat them like they stole our hymns. Damn straight. Make sure.
I love that Michelle's got a bit going. That's awesome.
It's awesome.
I love it.
It's cool. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, at Jeff Risdon, as you see there. Twitter, X, whatever they call it. Give us that follow. We're pants free all the time. Full blown hymns action. Tickety Tockety, we're over there at DET Lions Pod. Check us out. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, or call us on the Lions line at 248-782-8384, 248 Rub. You fug. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast, like all those things, because when you do that, while we're rubbing you fug, while we're rocking the hymns pants free stuff, while we're hanging the slack, Riz, what are you gonna do?
Sorry, Mom. We're gonna come into your ear holes automatically.
That's right. You're getting it all over the place. You're getting it from all ends. You guys can't help but love it. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because you and us are the Detroit Lions and Reddit Connection. Thank you all for joining us. Let's go Lions. We've got a great season ahead.